At the start of the movie, a group of teenagers wearing black clothes try to rob a casino, but guards spot them quickly. Their leader, a boy named Ren, gets caught and taken to an interrogation room. The men there beat him and force him to confess. They even inject him with drugs to make him dizzy. They tell Ren that the rest of his group was also captured, but he doesn't know if it's true. Scared and confused, he finally tells them his name and signs the paper. After that, an inspector named Nijima talks to him. She actually wants to help him. She tells Ren only he was arrested, and she asks about the strange power he used. This takes the story back 6 months earlier. 6 months before, Ren was just a normal high school boy. Many girls at his school loved a young detective named Che. After Ren got off a train one day, he found a weird app on his phone. He opened it, and suddenly time around him froze. A shadowy monster appeared and tried to attack him, but the app closed by itself. Ren got scared and deleted it. He then walked into a small restaurant in an alley. The owner, Sakura, told Ren he already knew Ren would be living there. A court ordered Ren to stay in that place for 1 year because Ren had a criminal record. His own family didn't want him back. Sakura told Ren to behave or he would kick him out. He also arranged a new school. That night, the strange app came back on Ren's phone. It put him to sleep, and he woke up in a prison cell. A long-nosed man stood outside his cell. He said his name was Igor, and that this place was called the Velvet Room, a place between dreams and reality. Igor said Ren was trapped in a self-made prison, meaning Ren was losing himself. Igor said he could help Ren, and that they would meet again. Ren woke up the next morning, and Sakura took him to school. The principal didn't want to accept Ren, but agreed. Teacher Wakami became Ren's homeroom teacher. On the way home, Ren heard news about a train accident. Sakura said he only took Ren in because someone asked him and because he would be paid. Meanwhile, Inspector Nijima learned the victim of the train accident was Ren's old teacher, and strange events kept happening ever since Ren came to town. The next day, while walking to school in the rain, Ren met a girl who shared his umbrella spot. Soon, a gym teacher named Kamoshida picked her up. Another student, a blonde boy, clearly disliked Kamoshida. Suddenly, the strange app on Ren's phone marked their location. Then, Ren and the blonde boy saw a giant castle where their school should have been. Confused, they went inside and were attacked by living suits of armor. Both boys were thrown into a prison cell. Inside, they saw a version of Kamoshida dressed like a king. He yelled that they had invaded his castle and must be punished. Soldiers beat the blonde boy while Ren stood frozen, terrified. But then a voice spoke to Ren asking if he wanted to stay powerless forever. Ren remembered his desire to change. A mask appeared on his face. When he ripped it off, blue flames burst out, and a powerful spirit named Arson rose behind him. Arson said he was Ren's inner strength. Together, Ren and the blonde boy escaped and locked the fake Kamoshida in a cell. Suddenly, they found themselves back in the real world. Ren's phone beeped, and their school looked normal again. The real Kamoshida was there too, acting innocent. Back to the interrogation room. Nijima listened but didn't understand why Ren's group would target the real Kamoshida, even if he acted like a king and was abusive. Ren continued explaining. He learned the blonde boy was named Sakamoto. Kamoshida yelled at them for being late, acting like a strict and bossy teacher. Everyone at school respected him because he led the volleyball team to national fame. Ren went to class and recognized the girl from the rain. Her name was Tamaki, and people whispered that she had some kind of relationship with Kamoshida. New friends, new problems. At lunchtime, Ren accidentally bumped into a girl and helped her pick up her things. Then, he and Sakamoto grabbed the same bread in the cafeteria. They shared it on the rooftop. Sakamoto said he liked hanging out with Ren because both were seen as troublemakers and they had survived danger together. When Ren returned home, Sakura scolded him for being late and warned him to behave. That night, Ren returned to Igor's dream prison. Igor said he had given Ren the strange phone app, which he called the Metaverse Navigator, and that Ren must change himself to escape his inner prison. The next day at volleyball practice, Kamoshida purposely hit a ball at Ren's face. When Ren glared back, Kamoshida looked scared for a moment. Later, Ren saw Sakamoto being yelled at by former teammates from the track club. They told him not to anger Kamoshida because they wanted peace. Sakamoto acted strong, but Ren could tell he wanted to fight back against Kamoshida. Teacher Wakami noticed that the whole class was treating Ren badly, so she talked to him alone and said she didn't understand how rumors about him spread since she never told anyone, and she also warned him to stay away from Sakamoto because he had changed after the track team was shut down. Ren later met Sakamoto again, who invited him to the rooftop and explained that Kamoshida was the one spreading rumors about Ren, and he wanted to stop Kamoshida by going back to the strange castle. Ren agreed to help, and he used the Metaverse Navigator to make the castle appear again. At the same time, a volleyball club girl named Sho was being targeted by Kamoshida. Inside the castle, Ren and Sakamoto saw a fake version of Kamoshida hurting a girl, but a voice said she wasn't real, so they didn't need to save her. The voice came from a cat-like creature locked in a cell named Morgana, who said it would help them if they freed it, so Ren let it out. Soldiers suddenly appeared, and Ren tried to fight but couldn't summon his power, so Morgana told them to run. The three of them soon faced the fake Kamoshida, who admitted he had always hated Sakamoto and that he caused Sakamoto's track club to end by injuring the coach and ruining Sakamoto's dream, making everyone see Sakamoto as a troublemaker. Kamoshida tried to punish Ren and Morgana, but Sakamoto finally snapped and felt a sharp headache, which Morgana recognized as his chance to awaken his own persona, a powerful spirit inside him. Sakamoto's mask appeared and he summoned his spirit, and Ren and Morgana also recovered their powers and fought with him. After battling the castle soldiers, Kamoshida suddenly called it Tamaki, which confused Sakamoto, so Ren and Morgana dragged him away and they all escaped. Ren and Sakamoto returned to the real world and went to eat, where Ren told Sakamoto that he was on probation because he tried to save someone, but accidentally hurt the real criminal, who then blamed Ren and reported him. Sakamoto shared his real name was Ruji, and they agreed to stick together. Later, Ren met Igor again, who said Ren had gained a new companion and revealed that the castle was created by the emotions and thoughts of everyone at school, forming a parallel world where their feelings created the palace and King Kamoshida, and Igor wanted to see if Ren could destroy it. The next day, Ren and Ruji walked to school and talked about the volleyball students being abused, but the famous detective Achai overheard them. They tried to find proof of Kamoshida's bad actions, but no one dared to speak and called it strict training, so they decided to ask the girls instead. Tamaki had just met Shiho and saw she hurt, and when Ren and Ruji asked about Kamoshida, Tamaki told Ruji to stay away because Shiho had to focus on the national tournament and she didn't want Kamoshida to notice her. Meanwhile, Nijima questioned Ren about a news article about the volleyball scandal, but he said nothing. Later, when Ren was heading home, he saw Tamaki at the train station talking on the phone with Kamoshida, and when she noticed Ren heard it, she walked with him and explained that people called her Kamoshida's girl ever since Kamoshida learned she and Shiho were close, and because Kamoshida had the power to remove Sho from the team, she had no choice but to obey. Tamaki hated how Kamoshida always used Shiho as an excuse to control her, and she no longer wanted to obey him, but she didn't know how to protect Shiho from this situation. Sadly, Kamoshida overheard her and decided to punish Shiho because of it, calling her to his office where she already knew something bad would happen. The next day, Ren and Ruji unexpectedly met Morgana at school, and Morgana said Ren could use the castle to change Kamoshida's heart, but this was risky because Kamoshida might even die. During class, Ren and Ruji talked about it and didn't want to be responsible for killing someone, but then Tamaki and Ren noticed Shiho standing on the school rooftop about to jump, so they ran, yet they were too late. Shiho fell, though she survived with serious injuries and was taken to the hospital. Tamaki followed while Ren and Ruji went to find Kojima, Kamoshida's helper, who told them Kamoshida beat students when angry and acted confident because they had no proof, and that Kamoshida planned to expel all three of them. And he also admitted Kamoshida forced him to leak Ren's criminal record. Ren then decided Morgana's plan was the only option. They had to reform Kamoshida. Tamaki overheard this and followed Ren and Ruji, getting pulled into the castle with them, where Morgana explained that the castle was made from Kamoshida's evil desires, and destroying it would make him a better person, though his crimes would still be real and he would feel guilty enough to confess everything. Morgana showed them a room holding the core of the castle, which represented all of Kamoshida's twisted wishes, and said they needed to make it appear as a real object before removing it, but this was dangerous because if they erased Kamoshida's desire to live, he could die. Suddenly, an alarm rang and they discovered someone else inside the castle. Tamaki had been captured by guards and was about to be punished by Kamoshida, but Ren's group arrived in time. Kamoshida blamed Tamaki for what happened to Shiho, but Ren encouraged Tamaki to awaken her inner strength, and she unlocked her own persona, transforming and fighting beside Ren's group. They defeated her cheap puppet copy that Kamoshida created, and even though Kamoshida kept summoning guards, Ren's team beat them all, leaving Kamoshida scared and hiding in a corner. Ren's group returned to the real world after their mission, and Tamaki now understood what they were trying to do and believed that with all four of them working together, they could really change things. She asked about Morgana, and Morgana explained that only people who entered a palace could hear it speak, and Ruji told her not to open the Metaverse Navigator yet. The next day, the group put up a silly announcement on the school board calling themselves the Phantom Thieves and saying they would steal Kamoshida's desires to make him confess, but this was actually just Ruji's joke and Tamaki said it looked childish, yet it made Kamoshida angry because he already suspected them and wanted to expel all three. During their meeting, Morgana said their earlier visit to the palace had scared Kamoshida enough that his treasure would appear soon, maybe the next day, so they had to steal it quickly before expulsion, even though the palace would now be more dangerous. Morgana told Ren and Ruji to buy a gun, but they had no money and were too scared to bargain with the strict shop owner, so they left and bought bandages instead. Back at Sakura's cafe, Ren met a doctor who gave him medicine and asked him to report how it worked because she wanted to test it on him, while Tamaki visited Shiho at the hospital. That night, the whole team snuck into Kamoshida's castle again. To reach the treasure room, they needed a key, so they tricked a guard into following them, knocked him out, and he turned into a fairy who rudely talked to them until Ren thanked her, and then she remembered she didn't belong to Kamoshida and introduced herself as Pixie, deciding to live inside Ren. Then they entered the treasure room and discovered Kamoshida's treasure was a crown, but Kamoshida grabbed it and bragged that students came to him for success and that he was above normal people, then transformed into a demon and attacked. Ren used a smoke bomb to escape with the group. Morgana said they needed to steal the crown to weaken him, so Ruji ran to grab it while the others distracted Kamoshida. But Kamoshida kept healing himself with the trophy until Ren shot it, since in the metaverse, toy guns work like real guns if you believe they do. Kamoshida then used a huge volleyball attack that knocked everyone out, and Ren met Igor, who said he would help Ren and gave him a new persona, while Arson said goodbye and promised to return when Ren's life was in danger. Ren woke up with his new persona and stunned Kamoshida long enough for Ruji to knock the crown away, and Ren threatened to break it, forcing Kamoshida back into human form. The team cornered him the same way he had cornered Shiho, and though he claimed he was under pressure, Ruji said he was making excuses, and Tamaki demanded he confess every crime or die, but finally showed mercy if he admitted everything. The group took the crown, the castle collapsed, and a few days later Kamoshida quit teaching, then came to school to confess and said he would turn himself in, which Tamaki was glad about because she wanted him to live with the consequences. Later, Tamaki called Ren saying Shiho had woken up, and Sakura didn't mind Morgana living with them anymore. A few days after that, the group sold Kamoshida's treasure, which turned out to be a gold medal, to the gun shop owner to get money, then spent it all at a fancy buffet so no one would suspect anything. Morgana explained the medal was just a symbol showing Kamoshida truly changed. After eating, Ren and Ruji went to the restroom but saw rude adults cutting in line, and Tamaki got yelled at by a lady who bumped into her and blamed her, and the group shared their stories and decided they would keep helping people by changing the hearts of adults. Ren accepted being the leader and named their group the Phantoms, though Morgana said they still needed a target. At school, Kashima told Ren he made a support website for the Phantom Thieves and hinted he knew Ren was part of the group, while the principal assigned a girl to watch the students and find the Phantom Thieves. The group checked their website and saw fan messages and requests, which Morgana used to choose their next targets. The Phantoms then used the Metaverse Navigator to enter a giant collective palace where bad adults with no personal palace were gathered. Morgana turned into a car, Ren drove, and they avoided shadows until they found a man stalking his ex. He wasn't very dangerous, so a small fight fixed his distorted desire, and Morgana explained that because many people now believed in the Phantom Thieves, they could travel farther. Morgana also said it lost its memories long ago and got trapped in Kamoshida's palace, and it needed the group's help to recover its past, which they agreed to. Later, Ren kept helping the doctor because Morgana said he needed more connections, and at the cafe, Ren met Nijima and Akei visiting. The Phantom Thieves' popularity grew, but Tamaki felt watched and feared their identities might be discovered, so the boys helped her, and they found out her stalker was a boy named Yuke, an art student who wanted her to be his model. Nijima then told Ren about Ikarasai, a famous painter and Yuke's teacher who used people for fame and hid many crimes, and Ren's group might find proof against him. After exams, Ruji wanted more missions, but Tamaki reminded him they needed team agreement and someone might be watching, so she planned to attend Ikarasai's art show since Yuke gave them free tickets. At the exhibition, Ikarasai pretended to be humble, Yuke dragged Tamaki away, and Ren and Ruji wandered around, noticing Yuke disliked one painting. After Tamaki regrouped with them, they found a request on their website accusing Ikarasai of abusing and plagiarizing his apprentices. Tamaki doubted it, but Ruji said if true, it was big but dangerous, and only if Tamaki agreed would they investigate, and she accepted. Tamaki met Yuke to model for him and visited the shabby place Yuke called Ikarasai's home, where Yuke defended his teacher fiercely because he was an orphan raised by him. Ikarasai acted nice and let Ruji go for his rude questions. Inside, Morgana secretly explored, while Yuke showed them the painting that inspired him and said Tamaki was his new muse. After leaving, the group thought maybe the rumors were wrong, but the metaverse navigator reacted, so they checked Icarusai's palace and found it was a huge art museum filled with paintings, including one of the stalker they fought before. They overheard Icarusai bragging about fooling the media, stealing his students' work, and planning to use Yuke until he died. Ruji got angry, but Ren stopped him because they weren't ready. The next day, while Tamaki modeled, Ruji again asked Yuke about the rumors, but Yuke defended his teacher, though Tamaki noticed he hated one of the paintings at the exhibit, likely his own stolen work. Yuke kicked them out, saying they'd never understand. That night, Kashima told Ren that one of Icarusai's former apprentices wanted to meet the Phantom Thieves. Ren went to meet the former apprentice, but he kept his face hidden, and the apprentice said all the rumors about Icarusai were true, and that his junior was still trapped under the painter, begging to be saved, so the group decided they had to bring Icarusai down. They sneaked into his museum again but were chased by tight security, proving the treasure was very important, and after finding nothing useful they retreated to plan again, and on the way out, Ren and Ruji met Aya, a journalist investigating Icarusai, and shared information with her. That weekend, Tamaki went to Yuke's place because Morgana had found a locked room inside the house, and if they could open it in front of Icarusai, then the same door in the metaverse would open too, so Tamaki wore many layers of clothes to stall time, while secretly letting Morgana pick the lock, and she distracted Yuke long enough for Morgana to finish, but just when the room opened, Icarusai returned. In the museum, Ren and Ruji saw the museum's locked door open. Inside the real shack, Tamaki discovered piles of copied versions of Yuke's favorite painting and realized Icarusai had lied for years. He never lost the original, he just hid it and sold copies. Yuke was shocked, but Icarusai immediately called the police to accuse Yuke, so Tamaki and Morgana ran, and the three of them got pulled into the metaverse where the whole group explained everything to Yuke. They met the palace version of Icarusai, who bragged about forcing apprentices to paint for him, copying their art, selling fakes, and tricking rich buyers because they only cared about his name. He even kept the original painting of Yuke's mother while selling fake ones. Icarusai summoned soldiers and grabbed Yuke, saying he only raised him for money, not kindness. Yuke realized he had ignored the truth out of gratitude but would no longer stay blind, awakened his persona, and froze the enemies, but because he could not use his persona long, the team retreated. Yuke joined the group and got his code name, and later they returned to the museum to disable traps. Soon, Icarusai learned someone was spreading phantom thief warnings and tried to remove them, but Morgana said the treasure must have appeared and they had only one day left. They planned the heist. Morgana would steal the treasure from above, Ren and Yuke would control the crane, Ruji would distract guards, and Tamaki would cut the power. Their plan worked and they escaped with the painting, but Icarusai revealed he had tricked them by swapping the real treasure with a fake. He showed the real painting, a woman holding a baby, Yuke's mother, who painted it before she died, and Icarusai had changed it, erased parts of it, and even let Yuke's mother die without calling help, then used Yuke's talent for years. Yuke felt all forgiveness disappear and saw Icarusai as nothing but trash pretending to be an artist. Icarusai fused with his treasure and turned into multiple paintings, making their attacks useless, and even spit ink at Tamaki to weaken her, controlling everything in his domain. Ren noticed buckets of paint and realized they could weaken him by splashing paint on him, so the team distracted Icarusai while Yuke threw ink to weaken him, and together their personas pushed Icarusai back into human form. Yuke struck the final blow, and when Icarusai begged for mercy, Yuke demanded he confess all his crimes and then took the real painting. The whole museum collapsed, and the next day, Icarusai held a press conference admitting everything, which spread the Phantom Thieves' fame again because just like with Kamishita, their warning appeared before the confession, making many people believe they were students from this academy. Ren's group asked Yuke what he would do now. He had left his old home and wanted to stay with Tamaki, but she refused, so Morgana suggested Sakura's cafe, and surprisingly, Sakura agreed, saying another kid wouldn't make a difference. The group celebrated with hot pot, and Tamaki fell asleep from exhaustion. Yuke asked Ruji and Tamaki's relationship, and Ruji explained they had known each other since early middle school because Tamaki was mixed race and had few friends. And then Yuke asked Ruji about his past, so Ruji shared how his father left, how he lived with his mom, and how he wanted a scholarship through track, but everything changed because of Kamishita, and his mom kept getting blamed for his troubles, even though he knew it wasn't her fault. They then listened to Ren's story, and even though Tamaki pretended to be asleep, she wasn't. She heard everything and felt close to everyone because all of their lives were messy in similar ways, so they all agreed their next goal was to help Morgana regain its memories by completing bigger missions.
After that night, Yuke moved into Sakura's terfe and asked to hang his mother's original painting on the wall, and Sakura agreed. Yuke realized the painting was actually beautiful. As time passed, more young people talked about the Phantom Thieves, but their small missions gave little treasure. At a public bath, the group discussed their next big target because online surveys still showed many people doubted them, but Morgana warned the police were now watching, so they had to study and act carefully, though Ruji hated that idea.
The next day, Ruji told Ren he found an adult maid service advertisement, not meant for students, but he thought maybe it could help them earn money for their missions, and Kushima overheard and wanted to try too. That night, Ren visited the doctor who liked using him for tests, and then Ren, Ruji, and Kushima borrowed an apartment and ordered the service. When the maid arrived, Ren hid his face because her voice seemed familiar, and when she realized he was underage, she tried to leave, but Ruji accidentally exposed everyone, and Ren saw the maid was actually his homeroom teacher, Miss Wakami. She begged him to keep it secret. The next day, Ren kept thinking about it, and Morgana said he should ask her why she worked such a job. He saw her arguing with the English teacher, so he stepped in and helped her by saying she tutored after school. Meanwhile, Ruji met old track teammates who told him even if he trained, he wouldn't join the new club. Ruji learned a new team existed and became quiet. Ren called the maid service again to see Miss Wakami and asked about Ruji. He suspected Ruji rebelled because Kamoshida insulted his mother, and she confirmed Ruji would go crazy if anyone harmed her. They also learned the new track club was supervised by a teacher who once worked for Kamoshida, so Ren and Ruji investigated and discovered one teammate had leaked secrets to Kamoshida to avoid being tortured. Ruji forgave him because he wanted the team to be united again, and he even let them punch him once to vent their anger, and afterward they made peace. Miss Wakami thanked Ren for helping fix the track team and secretly said he could call her if he ever needed chores or massages. Days later, the student council president began following Ren but helped an old lady instead, confused about her own actions. The next day, the class visited a TV station, which Ruji found boring, but the last session was an interview with Akechi, who said the Phantom Thieves might be dangerous because they stood above the law, and he claimed their heart-changing power could be misused. Ren responded bravely, and the two seemed like rivals. Afterward, Akechi offered to join them for lunch, but Ren refused because he didn't trust him. Meanwhile, the president was pressured to find the Phantom Thieves, but when she overheard Ren's group talking, Takumi told her the student council had never protected students, so she had no right to help. The president left, but later overheard again that they were determined to continue missions despite danger. She summoned Ren and demanded he bring her to the group. She said she knew they were the Phantom Thieves but wouldn't expose them. She wanted to test their justice by giving them a mission to defeat a mafia boss who tricked teens with fake job offers and trapped them into drug deliveries. She only knew his method, not his identity, so the group split up to attract his scouts, but Makoto acted too cleverly and scared them off. She took Ren's number and they met later to strategize. The group realized this mission was huge and dangerous, but also meant a huge treasure if the boss had a palace. They needed his name, so Ruji suggested contacting Oya, the journalist who stalked Hikaru Sai. Ren met Oya in Shinjuku while Ruji was held up by a group of loud boys. Oya agreed to help in exchange for info about Kamoshida's victims, which Kushima could handle, so she gave Ren a name, Junya. The next day, they checked Shibuya and found the keyword bank matched his greedy personality. The metaverse revealed a giant bank palace where Shibuya was his money. Meanwhile, Akechi questioned Makoto about what she knew, but she couldn't reveal anything. Makoto later asked her sister Nijima if their father Riv supported the Phantom Thieves, but Nijima bitterly said justice was useless because their father died for it. Ren's group entered the bank again and learned Junya viewed people as walking cash, drained and used. They left to reconsider. Later, Makoto met them again, upset about being called useless, and promised she would get them to Junya. She recorded herself calling Junya's men, got taken to him, but he caught her trick and shut off the phone, then threatened the group with pictures of them in an adult area, demanding 3 million yen. Makoto apologized, but Yukiko said paying wouldn't end it. Ren asked why she tried so hard, and she explained she wanted to stop being seen as useless, especially after she failed to act against Kamoshida. The group agreed she could join since she was involved now. Ren brought her into the metaverse where Makoto awakened her persona, a motorcycle, when Junya threatened her and they fought, but Morgana told him to escape for now. Junya then panicked in the real world and messaged Makoto. Makoto felt proud she changed but sad to oppose her sister. In the interrogation room, Nijima listened to Ren's story silently. Over the next few days, Makoto asked Ren to take her to normal student spots, and inside the bank they explored daily. Takumi forgave Makoto, saying the past was Kamoshida's fault, though Makoto still felt guilty. Makoto proved to be a strong strategist, helping the team find the safe key. Ren's room soon became the Phantom Thieves' hideout. When they entered the safe, they saw Junya's treasure, but it hadn't formed yet, so they needed to trigger it by posting a threat. Makoto put posters everywhere, knowing his underlings would report them. Junya wasn't scared, but Ruji had to sneak around putting up posters. They returned to the palace to confront him. Junya turned into a fly, immune to their attacks, then summoned a giant mechanical pig that chased them with heavy firepower. Tamaki then realized his weakness, money, so she burned bills to weaken him. With the pig slowed, everyone summoned their personas and broke it down. Junya surrendered, claiming he rose from poverty and they could become like him, but they rejected him. He warned them about another person with abilities, a man in a black mask who had also created a palace, then vanished. The bank collapsed and Morgana was crushed by a suitcase full of fake conceptual money. Later, Junya confessed and was arrested, and while the Phantom Thieves grew more famous, the police took most of the credit. Makoto asked her sister if the Phantom Thieves were just, but Najima didn't care about justice anymore. She was angry that their confession ruined her promotion. Ren met Igor and the wardens again, and they noticed that with each new member, Ren grew closer to healing himself, though his confidence bothered the wardens. A few days later, the news said Akechi arrested 2 political criminals, and Akechi visited Sakura's shop, played shogi with Ren, and said he would keep chasing the Phantom Thieves to see how they changed people's hearts. Akechi refused to stop investigating until he uncovered the Phantom Thieves' identities, so Ren's group decided to take a short break to avoid attention from the police and the public, and during this time, Nejima's boss assigned her to handle the Phantom Thieves case. Yusuke then visited Ren for advice because he was stressed about losing inspiration for painting and feared losing his scholarship, so he asked Ren to join him in the metaverse to look at different forms of the human heart for inspiration. The two walked around, fought ghosts, and tried to help Yuke's creativity. But at his exhibition, almost nobody looked at his art, and a professional man told him his painting looked empty and copied, which made Yuke realize his weaknesses. This man was Aoyo, the director of the Art Support Foundation. Aoyo invited them to eat and said he wanted to invest in Yuke because he didn't want his talent to fade. But Yuke realized Aoyo only wanted his paintings to make money, so he refused. Later, Ren met Akechi again, who asked Ren to help him investigate Aoyo because Aoyo and Ikarusai used to be friends, and he suspected Aoyo might trap Yuke the same way Ikarusai had. Ren agreed, and in the following days helped Yuke paint for Aoyo's upcoming exhibition while also helping Akechi investigate Aoyo's foundation. When Akechi finally found a clue, the group gathered and told Yuke he misunderstood himself. Painting for money wasn't always wrong, and passion plus income could exist together if he didn't forget the people around him. So Yuke went back into the metaverse to change his perspective and painted something hopeful instead of dark. When Yuke met Aoyo again, Aoyo still expected a good painting, but Yuke no longer cared about winning and only wanted to paint something inspiring. Ren also asked Aoyo about the 3 galleries Akechi mentioned, but Aoyo claimed he didn't know, though his nervous assistant later tried to destroy evidence and Akechi caught him, charging him with embezzlement. At the exhibition, Yuke won first place with a painting showing the bright and dark sides of the human heart. Aoyo admitted he and Ikarusai once shared the same artistic dream, but Ikarusai became greedy, and though Aoyo supported young talent, he admitted he had weaknesses too. Yuke still refused Aoyo's offer because he didn't want to fall into the same trap of turning art into money. Then Ren met Akechi again, who thanked him for helping solve the case, but Ren said the guilty man was Aoyo's subordinate all along. Akechi suggested they become partners, but Ren refused because he believed in the Phantom Thieves while Akechi did not. Akechi feared they could become evil, but Ren believed as long as they held on to their morals, changing hearts was still justice. Najima continued listening to Ren's confession and believed something must have gone wrong for Ren to be arrested, so she needed to hear the full story before judging him. Ren's group then focused on small problems at school to avoid police attention, and Makoto told them to study because exams were coming. Later, Makoto asked Ren to help her in the red light district. She wanted to feel what it was like for a girl alone there, so Ren followed quietly until a man tried to lure her with an easy job, and Ren pulled her away, realizing Makoto still obeyed adults too easily. They also spotted a female student entering a suspicious place, so the next day they called her to ask about it. The girl said she only worked part-time at a restaurant there, and then noticed Makoto's old anime wallet, surprised that Makoto wasn't as robotic or distant as everyone believed. Makoto felt happy, realizing she was changing thanks to Ren, and when Ren returned to Sakura's shop, he found Yusuke waiting there. Sakura had to leave early for business, so he closed the shop, and Yusuke admitted to Ren that even though Ikarusai had hurt him so much, he could not forget that Ikarusai had been the only family he had for many years. Meanwhile, Najima still refused to accept that her younger sister Makoto was a phantom thief and believed her own version of justice was correct, thinking the Phantom Thieves' justice would only destroy them. Earlier, Makoto had also told Ren she didn't know if she should keep studying so hard because she had always lived according to what teachers and her sister expected. Now she wasn't sure if she wanted a law career at all, and she didn't know what she truly wanted for herself. Kuroshima then met the journalist Aya and was disappointed because Aya looked nothing like what he imagined from Ren's description. Makoto's new friend also revealed she had a boyfriend who seemed suspicious, and when he saw Makoto's picture he had a sly smile. Soon, Makoto asked Ren to go with her on a double date, and the boy flirted with her and asked for her number, making Ren uneasy. A few days later, Makoto called Ren saying she too felt the boyfriend was dangerous because there were rumors about boys who trick girls and sell them to illegal places, and her father, who died as a police officer, had been injured investigating a similar case, leaving Makoto's sister to handle everything after their mother died, which made Makoto admire her father even more. Makoto wanted Ren to help her find her path in life. They also learned her friend had borrowed money for the boyfriend, even though Makoto saw he was lying. They confronted him, but he denied everything, so Makoto tested him by asking why he couldn't remember her friend's name and always called her Princess, and he accidentally proved he didn't care about her friend. Makoto had pretended to be her friend online to lure him out, and when her friend heard everything, she ran away in shame. The boyfriend tried to argue with Makoto, but Ren stepped in, so he left. That night, the Phantom Thieves entered the metaverse to fix the boyfriend's twisted heart, defeated his shadow, and returned. On the way home, Makoto said her friend had returned to normal and chosen to move on, and Makoto herself chose her future path. She wanted to become a police officer like her father. Ren told Najima that Makoto was no longer naive, and Najima set that topic aside and asked to continue hearing Ren's story because the next target had no name yet had challenged the Phantom Thieves directly, likely pushed by Najima's boss who hated how the internet praised them. After exams, the group planned to celebrate at the fireworks festival, but rain forced them inside a store. Ruchi complained because they rarely had chances to enjoy themselves and wished for another big target like Junya, but none seemed to exist. The next day, the international hacker group Medjed sent a challenge to the Phantom Thieves, saying they were the true justice and warning the thieves to join them or be destroyed. Medjed once exposed corporate secrets, but later abused their power for money. Tamaki and Makoto said they shouldn't worry since their identities were safe, but Kukishima told Ren the Phantom Thieves' website was being attacked by hackers, though he believed he could stop them. Later in class, everyone's phone rang at once, and afterward, Ren visited the doctor. While resting, he received a message from someone calling themselves Alibaba, who knew Ren was the leader of the Phantom Thieves, admitted to causing the phone incident, and offered information to help them defeat Medjed, but only if the Phantom Thieves agreed to reform someone for him. Ren showed the group, and they realized Alibaba had hacked their messages, so they decided from then on important matters would only be discussed in person. Soon, a letter arrived for Ren containing a Phantom Thieves calling card, but strangely, the target's name was missing. Alibaba messaged Ren again, so Ren asked for the target's name and where they can find this person. Alibaba said the target was Sakura Futaba, but after talking for a while, Alibaba suddenly backed out and told them not to look for her anymore. The group was confused, and Yuki pointed out that Sakura had the same last name as their cafe owner, so Futaba might be someone connected to him. When they got back, Ren saw Nijima speaking with Sakura about Futaba and about a court case involving parental rights, and Ren learned Sakura was Futaba's guardian and was being accused of abusing her, though he refused to explain because he was upset. The group believed he wasn't a bad man. A few days later, a massive blackout hit Shibuya, and Medjed claimed it was their warning because the Phantom Thieves didn't answer their challenge, saying they would shut down Tokyo if the thieves didn't reveal themselves. Ren's group knew that if Medjed attacked, the public would blame them for staying silent, so they needed Alibaba's help. Makoto studied the messages and realized Futaba herself was Alibaba, since she avoided meeting them. They rushed to Sakura's house, found him gone, and entered the house in the rain. The place was dark, Makoto got scared, and when they suddenly ran into Futaba, both sides screamed, making Sakura run home. Back at the cafe, Sakura apologized for hiding things and explained that Futaba was the daughter of someone he once knew. Her mother raised her alone until collapsing in front of her, and the shock made Futaba shut herself away from the world. Sakura slowly helped her, but months ago she panicked again, thinking her mother was watching her, and locked herself inside her room, making Sakura feel he failed her. The group realized Futaba was Alibaba, and that she probably wanted them to change her heart. They used the Metaverse Navigator and saw Futaba had her own palace. Igor told Ren they were running out of time and asked what he planned to do. The group decided they needed Futaba if they wanted to defeat Medjed, so even though Futaba wasn't a bad person, they had to help her. They returned to her house and asked for the last keyword. Futaba wouldn't show herself but texted Ren, and he learned she saw her own room as a tomb, giving them the final clue. The navigator warped them to a desert, where Morgana turned into a car to drive them to a giant pyramid. Their clothes didn't change because Futaba didn't see them as enemies. Inside, they met a projection of Futaba and learned she feared society because everyone blamed her for her mother's death, and the guilt made her want to die inside her room. She vanished and triggered traps, forcing the Phantom Thieves to retreat. Ren later saw Sakura refusing to hand Futaba over to Nijima's team, insisting he would care for her. That night, the group re-entered the tomb, dodged traps, and saw memories. Adults refusing to adopt Futaba because she brought bad luck, and then the moment her mother ran into the street and died. They found the sealed treasure door, but Futaba's shadow said they needed the real Futaba's permission. Shadow Futaba then asked the real Futaba how long she would keep running, warning she would fight the thieves if Futaba refused to change. The next day, they begged Futaba to open the door. Ren told her they saw her shadow and only she could open her heart. Futaba cracked open the door but hid behind it. They encouraged her and she finally stepped out of the closet. Meanwhile, Akechi questioned the gun shop owner about items the Phantom Thieves sold, but the owner refused to reveal anything, and Akechi decided to wait and see their next move since Medjed's deadline was tomorrow. The thieves had what they needed, Futaba facing them. After they left, Futaba came out again, curious about the navigator, and tested it. When they returned to the tomb, the treasure room opened, but they encountered the Guardian, Futaba's mother, and Futaba entered behind them, confused and terrified by what she saw. Futaba still believed she caused her mother's death, but her shadow asked her to remember what her mother had truly said and whether she really hated her. Her mother only scolded her because of stress from important research and had promised to spend more time with her when it was finished. Futaba believed the lie because her mother's co-workers read a fake suicide note blaming her so they could steal the research, and her relatives also blamed her, which hurt her deeply. Shadow Futaba asked her to choose between a lie made to hurt her or the truth she felt inside, and Futaba chose to fight the lie. She awakened her persona and joined Ren's group to defeat the shadow that haunted her. When she stepped out, the tomb began collapsing because Futaba herself was the treasure. Back in the real world, the doctor examined her and said she was weak from staying inside too long. The shop owner thanked the Phantom Thieves and gave Ren tickets to a skyscraper amusement area, telling them to rest for now while Futaba recovered. Later, Ren listened as the owner explained that Futaba's mother had been researching cognition, and Nijima kept coming to ask about it. Soon after, Futaba walked into the cafe again, and the owner was relieved. Keeping her promise, Futaba hacked Medjed easily, saving the Phantom Thieves' reputation. Nijima was shocked they ended the crisis so quickly. Futaba then revealed she was actually the founder of Medjed, but after random hackers joined and used the name for bad things, she stopped caring about them. Makoto asked how Futaba found their info and entered the metaverse, but Futaba refused to answer. After Ren and Futaba ate dinner with Sakura, Futaba told Ren her mother was murdered for her research, and she wanted to expose the culprit with the Phantom Thieves' help, officially joining the team. To help her reintegrate into society, the group took her out during summer vacation. Ren worked part-time while the others helped clean her room and teach her life skills. One day, Sakura taught Ren how to cook curry, and when Yuk and Ruji arrived, they tasted Ren's spicy curry. The girls came with swimsuits for Futaba for their beach trip. At the beach, after many activities, Futaba told them her mother studied cognitive alteration, which explained how the metaverse worked. She believed her mother's strange behavior before dying and running into a moving car was caused by losing awareness in the cognitive world, and Futaba suspected the man in the black mask was involved. After summer, the Phantom Thieves became more famous, and Nijima's boss targeted them harder. Ren and Ruji went fishing and met Ms. Kawakami, but had to rush home because Futaba panicked around strangers again. The group met in Mementos, where Futaba chose her codename and saw the map expand as more people used their website. Their fame grew, and so did requests. When summer ended, they became a major phenomenon. Kushima called Ren because a girl wanted to talk about the Phantom Thieves website, but she never showed. Ren noticed Morgana seemed sad, especially after seeing Anne lose her modeling job due to a jealous junior. Anne also said Morgana only acted like a group mascot, making Morgana feel worse. Sakura then told Ren he suspected Futaba's mother was murdered but had no proof, and he feared telling Futaba. Futaba overheard Ren and him to watch fireworks. That night, Morgana said he felt jealous of humans, but Ren encouraged him, saying he might actually be a human trapped in a cat's body. This gave Morgana hope, and he promised to keep helping the team search mementos for answers. Soon, the police began investigating the Phantom Thieves and focused on Ren's school. Ms. Kawakami warned students to stay calm because police would escort them on their field trip. Makoto reminded everyone not to act suspiciously because she would be representing the school and could not watch over them, and Futaba updated the thieves' website to sort requests by priority. Because Nijima was also investigating the Black Masked Man, the team gave Makoto a USB to copy data from her sister's laptop. That night, the principal got a frightening call from someone he failed to satisfy. Makoto then used the chance to copy Nijima's files while she bathed. The next day, the group left for a field trip to Hawaii, and once they arrived, everyone enjoyed the beaches, dances, and food. The next morning, the group unexpectedly met Yusuke, who was supposed to fly to America but was redirected to Hawaii because of bad weather. While hanging out, Ryuji complained they should be meeting girls instead of wasting time, and Ren stepped in to help a girl being harassed. Yusuke recognized her as a famous shogi player. That night, Ryuji visited Ren in Mishima's room, and Anne arrived asking to stay because her roommate brought her boyfriend into their room. Meanwhile, the principal suddenly collapsed on the street and was hit by a car, and Makoto learned first. Nijima immediately suspected the Phantom Thieves, but Ren said they had nothing to do with his death. Soon, the principal's death was announced, and many people blamed the thieves even though they were innocent. That night, the group gathered and learned the police were investigating mental shutdown cases harder than ever, and they noticed all the victims were competitors of a big food company owned by CEO Okamura, whose business was mysteriously rising. They suspected Okamura but had no proof, and Morgana grew desperate to fix their ruined reputation. When Ren suggested waiting, Morgana snapped at Ryuji, they argued badly, and Morgana ran off, deciding he would defeat Okamura alone and take all the credit. Nijima and Akechi also began investigating Okamura because they suspected he might be connected to the Phantom Thieves. Morgana failed alone inside the palace and was found by a mysterious girl. The next morning he was still missing, so Ren and Futaba called everyone to search. They investigated Okamura, found the keywords and entered the metaverse, but Akechi spotted them. Inside, they saw a giant space station full of worker robots that were treated like trash and thrown away with no pay if they fell behind. They found a locked door requiring Okamura's cognition, and then saw Morgana walking beside a girl in a black mask who seemed inexperienced. She opened the door, but guards rushed in, forcing them to retreat. Outside, Futaba couldn't believe Morgana had betrayed them, but Makoto recognized the girl as Haru Okamura, the CEO's daughter. When they met Haru, she explained she followed Morgana into the palace because she wanted to know whether her father really was as bad as the rumors said. She wanted to help Morgana, not chase fame like she thought the thieves might be doing. At home, Haru faced pressure because her father forced her to date a rich heir for political gain. Ren met journalist Aya for info, and later saw the fortune-teller girl who told him he was still lost.
The group noticed many requests were suddenly completed and guessed Morgana and Haru did them. They waited in mementos and met them again. Ryuji apologized, but after Morgana was about to return, Ryuji said something dumb and hurt him again. On their way home, Haru was grabbed by her fiancé, who ignored her protests. Morgana tried to help but got kicked aside, and Ren's group rushed in and saved her. Her fiancé said it was a family matter, but Makoto pointed out how terrible it looked, so he retreated, saying he would tell her father. They brought Morgana home. He wanted to leave the group because he felt useless, but everyone told him he mattered and that they wouldn't even exist without him. Morgana was moved and returned. Haru also decided she must speak up and not be forced into marriage. The next day, she rejoined the group and explained her family company used to be a small cafe her grandfather created out of love, but her father turned it into a giant corporation focused only on profit. She wanted him to return to who he used to be. Many people sent requests asking the thieves to expose Okamura, so he became their next target. Thanks to Haru, they entered deeper into his palace, where they overheard her father admitting he didn't mind selling his own daughter for political benefit. Her fiancé transformed into a robot to attack her, but Haru awakened her persona and fought back. After defeating him, the group returned, and Ren asked Haru if she was ready to face the truth that she might be called the daughter of a criminal. She said she didn't want a life built on hurting others. They reached the treasure room the next day and sent the calling card, and Okamura panicked and called the police for protection. Online, people began treating the Phantom Thieves as entertainment, but the group continued anyway. Inside the palace, Okamura's treasure was a UFO meant to represent his escape into politics. He begged Haru to come with him, but she refused, so he attacked them by summoning stronger and stronger robot workers, claiming everything could be solved with manpower. With Futaba healing them, they defeated each wave until a giant CEO robot appeared, but they destroyed it and defeated Okamura. He promised to change, and when they asked about mental shutdowns, he admitted he only sent requests to someone else, but before he could name them, the palace collapsed. collapsed. After they left, Okamura's cognitive self was murdered by a mysterious figure. A few days later, the group celebrated at a theme park Haru's family had booked but never used, and afterward rushed to watch the press conference. Okamura confessed his crimes, but right as he tried to reveal the culprit, he collapsed like he was poisoned, sending Haru into shock. News reported cardiac arrest, and Makoto feared he might die. Nejima's boss planned to blame the Phantom Thieves and drag them through the mud. Haru said Nejima found a calling card in the principal's office, one the thieves never sent, proving someone was impersonating them. Futaba hurried to investigate. The next night, Makoto overheard her sister say the next day many things would happen at school. The next day, Ms. Kawakami announced that the whole school had to give statements to the police, and although Ren was questioned, he and the group stayed calm so nothing was revealed. That evening, in Futaba's room, she explained she found something strange about the Mejded case. Someone had used Mejded's name to provoke the Phantom Thieves, then pretended to be a user on their website, pushed Okamura's request to the top with fake votes, and basically controlled them for 2 whole months just to make them famous and lure them into trouble. When Makoto said her sister had been assigned to a special mission, they suspected the prosecutor's office was behind everything and also behind the school interrogations, so they decided to hide for a while because the special investigations team was far more dangerous than normal police. Online, everyone now hated the Phantom Thieves, and Okamura's company was falling apart as shareholders fought each other. Ren met Mishima at the game store, and Mishima begged him to find a new target to help fix their reputation because he didn't want the Phantom Thieves to collapse. After Ren left, he met the girl he saved in Hawaii, Hifumi, a shogi champion, and they talked in a church. She told him she felt pressured because her mother kept raising expectations. On the way home, Ren saw both hate and support online and felt a little relieved. The next day, Anne asked Ren to come with her after school, and they met Shiho on the roof. She had been discharged from the hospital and would transfer schools, so she wanted to look at the rooftop one last time and said she no longer had the dark voice inside her. That night, Ren's group saw a message on the Phantom site threatening to kick members out made by Mishima, but Futaba stopped it in time. They entered mementos to help, but Mishima said he already knew they would try to change him. He felt useless and powerless because he loved the Phantom Thieves but couldn't help them. Ren told him he didn't need a change of heart, he just needed to change himself, and Mishima promised to calm down and later return to normal, choosing to pause the Phantom site and just write articles. Nejima then asked Ren why she was the Phantom Thieves' final target, which led back to the school festival preparations. Everyone voted for Akechi as the special guest because they wanted him to catch the Phantom Thieves. Even though Makoto warned Akechi inviting was risky, the team voted to invite Akechi so they could learn what the police were planning. Futaba already had Akechi's number, so Makoto contacted him, but he didn't answer at first. The teacher threw chalk at Ren for being distracted, but Ren dodged it, surprising the class. That night, Ren met Akechi at the cafe, where they played chess, and Akechi said he believed 2 groups were causing the mental change incidents, not just the Phantom Thieves. If the thieves only changed the hearts of criminals, he was willing to accept them, and he agreed to come to the festival. At a press talk, he said the Phantom Thieves were not the murderers, but he still saw them as dangerous and needed more proof. The festival began, and undercover police filled the campus, so the group just had fun quietly. While eating at a maid cafe, Akechi showed up early and burned his mouth on hot food. The next day, Akechi spoke as the guest, and the students asked when they'd catch the Phantom Thieves. He said they weren't killers because only Okamura had died, so there had to be someone else behind it. He said he knew their identities and was about to reveal them, but he got a phone call and told Makoto to gather everyone in 10 minutes. When the Phantom Thieves met him, he showed a video of them entering the metaverse. He had followed them inside, fought the man in the black mask, got shot, and awakened his persona. He told them the police were blaming everything on the thieves, so they had 2 choices: help him find the truth, or he would hand the proof to the police. He left and waited for their answer. The upper higher-ups ordered Sae Nejima to solve the Phantom Thieves case within a month and even put out a public bounty for catching them. Akechi then sent police to scare the group, so Makoto agreed they needed Akechi. That night, he said they must change Sae Nejima's heart because she was close to breaking under pressure and might frame an innocent person for promotion, but changing her heart might put her in danger if the real killer went after her. Still, it would also protect the thieves, because if they changed the heart of an investigator, the prosecutor's office wouldn't dare expose it. Makoto realized that once Akechi caught the man in the black mask, he would use that person as the scapegoat for the Phantom Thieves, meaning the thieves would have to stop once this final mission was over.
They agreed and went to the courthouse, found Sae's palace keyword thanks to Akechi, and entered early even though they still had 3 weeks before the deadline. They discovered her palace was a casino because she saw everything in terms of winning and fairness. They got Akechi a code name and saw that although their clothes changed, the people inside didn't, meaning Sae saw everyone as equal except the thieves who were her enemies. She appeared and said the treasure was in the manager's room at the top, and if they wanted it, they had to win every challenge. They followed but needed a membership card, and their first trial appeared. Akechi destroyed the shadow quickly, but they suspected Sae might be plotting something and left. During that time, Sojiro cleaned Futaba's room and discovered the Phantom Thieves' calling card. Ren and Akechi were talking about their plan when Sojiro chased Futaba into the room and dropped the Phantom Thieves' calling card, and the whole group realized what happened, but Ren noticed Sojiro did not seem suspicious, so they decided not to mention it so things would not get worse. The next day, Futaba's relatives came to the cafe demanding money, and her uncle threatened that if Sojiro didn't pay, he would take Futaba away because he said he made her autistic and even let someone with a criminal record like Ren live there, so Sojiro had no choice but to keep quiet since he didn't want to lose her. Later, the Phantom Thieves returned to Sae's casino, but Futaba was stressed about Sojiro's situation and couldn't concentrate, so they lost almost all of their money and stopped for the day. Ren talked with Sojiro and learned the curry recipe came from Futaba's mom, and even though he cooked it for Futaba since she was little, she never ate it until now, so he was happier now that she was recovering. Sojiro also explained that Futaba's uncle was her last relative and treated her badly, but because of blood ties, Court would always trust him first.
Akechi told Ren he understood Futaba's pain because he also had a bad father and bounced between relatives after his mother died. The next day, Futaba's uncle returned, Sojiro refused, and Akechi argued back that the uncle also had debts and had spent all the money meant for Futaba, but the uncle pretended Ren pushed him and accused Ren of assault. Days later, welfare officers came to talk about Ren and Futaba, but Morgana fitched Futaba, and she explained that she was fine living here, so they dropped the case. That night, Sojiro asked Futaba about the Phantom Thieves and knew the truth because too many hints pointed to Ren, but he promised to keep the secret. Akechi later played shogi with Ren. Ren lost, and gave Akechi his king piece as a promise he would win next time. When Futaba returned to normal, the group cleared the casino games, made a membership card after fixing the bad name, and surprised Sae by passing another trial. They reached the next floor, which looked like a courtroom, and used identities of trial members to get inside. They needed 100,000 coins to open the scale, and since Futaba said bets were high, Ren did one-on-one battles to earn coins. He trained his aim thanks to a kid at the game center and used a health drink from the doctor to summon a stronger persona, winning 250,000 coins. Sae changed the rules and demanded 1 million coins, but Akechi had already gambled tons of coins using old membership cards and bets, earning enough so that combined with Ren's coins, they reached over 1 million and activated the scale. They reached the treasure room but waited to send the calling card until close to the deadline so Sae would panic and make the treasure appear. Meanwhile, Ren saw a kind but unpopular politician trying to give a speech, and Ren believed he would someday find his voice. Soon, Sae got the calling card and prepared to arrest the Phantom Thieves, and the group returned to her palace and entered the treasure room, but the treasure didn't appear and Sae dragged them into her battle arena. She refused to accept defeat and mocked her father's idea of justice, then transformed into a battle machine. Everyone fought hard while Makoto begged her sister to wake up, and after distracting her and freezing her leg, Makoto blinded her so Ren and Akechi could team up and break her armor, and the group finished the fight. The treasure was their father's notebook. Then Futaba sensed many enemies coming, so Ren chose to stay behind so the others could escape, and as he ran, he met Arsene again, who told him he was Ren's inner rebellion and that they would meet once Ren healed his heart. But the approaching group was actually the real-world police suppression squad. They had somehow entered the metaverse, so Ren was captured. Makoto told them to escape so Ren's sacrifice wouldn't be wasted, but Akechi insisted he would not let things end like this. The story returned to the interrogation scene from the beginning. Sae Najima was not allowed to see Ren that night, and by morning news of his capture spread everywhere. The politician Ren had met earlier believed the Phantom Thieves were innocent because Ren had opened his eyes to the struggles of weak people. Akechi told the others where Ren was held, but warned them not to rescue him because someone powerful enough to send a suppression squad into the metaverse was watching, and they needed to trust him. The next morning, Sae broke orders to interrogate Ren and finally understood everything. She promised to help lower his sentence if he cooperated, but he refused.
She believed Ren had been betrayed by someone, and Ren asked if she still believed in justice and why she came if she wouldn't get credit, then told her the betrayer's clue was inside his phone, and asked her to give the phone to someone, which made Sae understand what he wanted, though she didn't understand why. After leaving, Sae met Akechi and handed him the phone, but he pretended not to understand it. The thieves waited, thinking Akechi would help Ren, but when Akechi entered the interrogation room, he revealed he was the traitor, killed the guard, and shot Ren, leading to the bad ending of the story. But the game has another true ending if you choose to explore it.